Rajun P. and Mr. Ponmani Raja to the session. I also welcome Mr. Sibin Krishna, our student coordinator, to this event. And last but certainly not the least, I welcome you all to the participants who are online and eagerly waiting for the talk. And now, sir, I'm handing over the session to you.
Awesome. Thank you for that a very nice introduction, right? And I'm very excited to have everybody here and show you something really cool, really disruptive, something that has been talked about for years. Yeah, for the last at least last 4 or 5 years, people have been talking about Bitcoin, crypto, blockchain. What is it? What is this technology? What's it all about? What's it trying to do? You know, so I will of course share you guys my journey, but at the same time show you the presentation that I have now. I'm very young, just like you guys, so I'm not going to be giving you a business presentation, right? It's a very interesting. It's a very interesting story, yeah, and it has a lot to think about, right? So I'm hoping that by the end of this talk, that we have a lot of ideas and we're smarter than when we started, right? So I'm just sharing my screen, right? And let's see how we can take this forward. So share screen. Okay. Yeah. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay, perfect. So yes, so we're going to talk about Bitcoin, blockchain. So essentially, when we say Bitcoin blockchain, that is in the sense crypto, right? We're going to talk about how crypto is going to be disrupting the world, the economy, and what it's going to be like in the future. I'm going to try and make it as simple as possible so that people understand, right? As much as what we say here. And we'll keep a certain time slot we'll stick to time very diligently, and we will keep a slot for question and answers. So we'd love to hear questions and answers from all the students here. I think that's going to be a great session. Yeah. So quick survey. Okay. Actually, how do we do a survey in Google Meet? This is going to be an issue. Um, so quick survey. How many of you guys have heard of Bitcoin or have Bitcoin or know what Bitcoin is? How do we check that? Is there any way we can see in the group, in the chat? Can people say, just say that I have heard about Bitcoin or blockchain in the chat if they've heard about it? If you can just type in the chat yes or no. So have you heard of Bitcoin, blockchain, or crypto? Okay, we're seeing a few answers already. Wow, great. Wow, that's amazing. So, wow, that's way too fast. Okay. So great. So people have heard of, there's a person called as Jack Sparrow. Yeah. So there's people have heard of Bitcoin, but I'm going to assume that most of you haven't, right? And that's how we will take this presentation. Okay. So I was to show you a demo. So I think what we will do is one lucky person at the end of this demonstration will get few Bitcoins from me, right? I will give away a few Bitcoins to one lucky person. We'll figure out a way to decide who the lucky person is going to be. So we'll do an actual demo of a Bitcoin transaction and see how that goes. Yeah. So basically, very quick and simple, right? Bitcoin and blockchain has been taking the world over by storm over the last few years, right? It is one of the most disruptive technology, right? That we have met, right? Now the question is that true or not? You know, because the most disruptive technology we've seen so far is the internet, right? I mean, we're having this very call right now over the internet. So is blockchain and crypto going to be more disruptive than the internet, right? Or is it one of the most ridiculously hyped up and exaggerated pieces of technology that we've ever seen, right? So we will get to answer this question in our we hope to understand a little bit more whether blockchain is here to disrupt our lives, or whether blockchain is just talked about a lot in our lives, yeah, and just vaporware is what people call it. So the truth is that for technologies that need to have a very deep impact on our lives, it has to be both, right? It has to be disruptive and it has to be overhyped. So two things have to happen at the same time. Only then do we say that this particular technology is going to change our lives, right? So the reason why Bitcoin and crypto is fascinating is because it's not what it appears to be at first glance, right? Now, a lot of people would have heard about, Bitcoin and crypto being used by hackers, right? Or Bitcoin being used to buy drugs, or a lot of these illegal things that happen with Bitcoin, right? But the reality is that this is the exact same thing people said about the internet when the internet first came in 1990, right? So when the internet first came in 1990, people said that this internet thing, is going to be used for drugs, is going to be used for pornography, is going to be used for terrorism. But today we know the internet is not used for all of those things. I mean, it is used, but in a very small percentage. Today the internet is used to, have this conference, right? It's used for you to, search through Wikipedia or go on Google or go on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, right? So that's what makes Bitcoin so interesting, right? And Bitcoin and crypto so interesting is because when you start looking into it, right, you get so obsessed. I've known people who have got so obsessed with Bitcoin and crypto that they haven't eaten, slept, or taken a shower for days. Yeah. So that's what makes it so fascinating, because on the outside it looks different, but on the inside it is totally something else. Yeah. So it's not just about money, right? So Bitcoin, when we talk about it, it has the word coin inside it, right? So people think it is, it's another coin, it's another kind of money, right? But it's not just that. Yeah. And the blockchain is not a system, so it's more than just that. Okay. And I'll try to explain to you guys a bit about what that is, right? So the main thing is that it's a platform of trust. So today in the internet, how can you trust another person, right? How can you guys trust me, and how can I trust you, right? If you were to meet a random stranger on Facebook or Instagram or any of the online places you visit, how can you trust that totally random unknown person, right? The main thing Bitcoin does, and Bitcoin blockchain and crypto, what they're doing in disrupting our lives, is that they're establishing trust in a very decentralized way. And I'll explain to you guys about what it is, right? So Bitcoin is not a company, okay? It is not a coin. It's not a physical coin, right? It's not a product. It's not a service. It's not a government. It's not a person. It's not an animal. It is not a god. Yeah. So it's not a currency. Currency is just an application, just one of the use cases of Bitcoin. Okay. It's a concept, So it's a concept of decentralization. Decentralization means you're taking somebody who has something that has a lot of control in one place and splitting it and making it into different pieces. Yeah. And it is decentralization of money. Okay. So today in India, who is the governing authority that prints money today, right? So as most of you would know, that is the RBI today, right? And so the RBI and the government of India, mostly the RBI, control the Indian rupee, right? But what Bitcoin and crypto is trying to say is that we don't want an RBI. RBI is everybody, and that money that everybody has is trusted by everybody else. So that is a very crazy concept, right? So it's a concept of decentralization, in that if I trust one person, then if that one person screws up, right, or destroys my trust, I'm screwed. But if that trust is split across hundreds and thousands of people, then it's easier for me to trust that entire system. So it's a concept of decentralization. So so one of the things that we should realize, guys, is that to even understand what is happening here, right? We need to understand what is money, you know. The issue is that when you ask this question, it is not as simple as it sounds, right? Because money is something you have been using every day and every week, okay? But you don't know, like you're not asked what is it, who is giving me 100 rupees of milk when I pay him 100 rupee note? Why is 100 rupees 100 rupees? You know, so money is one of the most complicated questions. It's one of the most complex and the oldest technology that we humankind have created. Yeah. So a very simple question to you guys, right? So is the Indian rupee a form of money, right? Is the US dollar a form of money, right? Is gold, yeah, so gold bar or gold chain, right, or gold necklace is a form of money, right? Is a bag of rice a form of money? You know, now some of these questions, right? Some of you might have said yes, some of you might have said no as well. But if you go back a few centuries ago, there was a time when people actually traded a bag of rice for, money, as money, treated that as money, So it's an interesting question, right? What is money? Is credit card a piece of money? So it's a very complicated question if you really start asking yourself why and what it is, right? So, and then the brilliant answer is that money is an illusion. It is an imagination. It is just a language we use to communicate value. Okay. So, for example, the Indian rupee, right? Rupee note is a language of rupees. Yeah. The US dollar is a language of dollars, right? $1 equals 75 rupees, right? So money is an illusion, really. And the beautiful thing is that we don't understand it because we use it so much in our daily lives that we never ask this question, right? That okay, it is just something in our heads, right? Tomorrow, if I have a 100 rupee note and I have the only 100 rupee note in India, that note is not 100 rupees. That note is something worth a lot more because it is just an illusion in the end, right? It's a very tough concept to grasp, even though every day we're using money in our daily lives, right? So it is one of the oldest technologies. It's a technology. Money is a technology, right? That we humans have had. Yeah. It even precedes writing. So 6,000 money was used more than 6,000 years ago. Yeah. The first form of writing was actually a spreadsheet. Yeah. So which means they were using 6,000 years ago, they were using a spreadsheet to keep track of how much money a person had. So that is brilliant. It's one of the oldest technologies we know of, right? Um, and we have gone through, 5 major changes of money, right? The first is, of course, the barter system, which is the bag of rice. Yeah, a bag of rice, cows, potatoes, tomatoes. So you would exchange a bag of rice with a sack of tomatoes, and so this is what is called as a barter system. And this was the first kind of money that existed, 6,000 years ago, right? Then people started using a little bit more valuable things, right? Like feathers, stones, seashells, pearls, right? And so that's the second form of money. Okay. Then came precious metals, right? Like gold coins, silver coins, right? This was, I think 300 years ago, we were using gold coins as a form of money, right? And then came paper money, right? Paper money is basically, your Indian rupee note, right? The US dollar, all of it is paper, right? So it is still money, but it is now in paper format. Yeah, totally different way of money, right? And then comes plastic money, which is just very recently credit cards, debit cards, all these different gift cards, right? All these different cards is now come to be known as plastic money, right? And finally comes network money, right? Network money is where we're going to be in the future. Yeah. And this is the kind of money that we're talking about with respect to Bitcoin. Okay. Bitcoin is network money, and this is where we're headed to the future. Yeah. So it's just a language. It helps us express value, right? And Bitcoin is the first kind of money, system of money that is not controlled by anybody. It is 100% decentralized. So that is crazy because all kinds of money before were centralized. So we're going to talk about this a little bit, but first let's go back to 2008 to understand why crypto started and why blockchain and why Bitcoin sort of came into the picture. Okay. So in 2008, basically, the financial crisis happened, right? The entire stock market and every single country's economy collapsed. Yeah, everything collapsed, right? And this happened because of a bank called as the Lehman Brothers, right? And their collapse, eventually collapsed other banks, which collapsed other countries. Yeah, so it all started with the Lehman Brothers, going bankrupt, right? And so what happened is that a lot of these banks, right, they took people's money and they gambled with it, which is not right, right? They took money of people like us, and they gambled with it. And when they lost the gamble, that's how the entire company and the entire bank collapsed, right? So this is how it looked like, the banking system and the governments were feeding off of the people, right? People like us, and that was not a very fair thing, right? So banks gambled on people's money, okay? And when the gamble did not pay off, in order to repay the debts, the government printed more money to pay back the banks, which is very crazy if you try to understand what that means, right? So if I'm a bank, okay, and I gamble with 100 crore rupees, right? Like Vijay Mallya. Let's assume I'm Vijay Mallya, right? And I gamble with 100 crore rupees. Yeah. Now imagine the government of India, paying the 100 crore rupees from you guys, taking money from you guys, the taxpayer, right? For Vijay Mallya's inefficiencies. Yeah. So this is exactly what happened in 2008, and a lot of people were not happy. They were like, why are you taking our money to pay the bankers' mistakes? So people were not happy in 2008. Okay, why aren't these people? Why aren't the bankers in jail? Why is our money used to bail these guys? And how did the government let this happen in the first place? So a lot of questions, very angry questions, were being thrown at to the government and to the banks in 2008. Okay, and that's why there was this brilliant guy. We don't know who he is, right? He goes by the name he, she, it, computer. We don't know, mouse. Who knows, right? Maybe someone in this call, who knows? A person called as Satoshi Nakamoto decided that he wanted to do something about it, right? So an anonymous software programmer expressed frustration and anger with our current government and our current system, right? He was so mad, that this could happen in 2008, right? So he wanted to create a system. He or she wanted to create a system where nobody was in charge, nobody was in control. Everything will follow computer code, yeah, and that code would be as good as law, yeah. So very, decentralized system he wanted to create, yeah. And he did, that is what he did. He basically made Bitcoin in 2009. So in 2009, Bitcoin launched. It is a creation of Satoshi Nakamoto. And he published this little paper that talked about what is Bitcoin, how it works, and in a very popular web forum. On a website, he posted what Bitcoin was. He just randomly posted over there and he said, "Hey guys, look, this is what I'm building. What do you think?" Yeah. Uh, a couple of programmers got interested, and they said, "Oh, it's a great idea, very interesting." And on January 2009, Bitcoin launched. Yeah, it launched because out of a lot of frustration that the governments and banks used people's money, to take them for a ride and to pay themselves off. So that's why Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin launched, and this was the first interface. Very very simple interface where you can see how much Bitcoins you have, how much the Bitcoins you've sent back and forth. A very simple system of money. Going back and forth, right? So it's a decentralized peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer means person to person, right? So if I wanted to send you money, then basically I don't have to do an NEFT or Paytm or a phone pay. I just have to send directly to you. So it's peer-to-peer. There's no person in between. No Paytm, no phone pay, no bank, HDFC, ICICI, nobody, in coming in between. Yeah. There's a simple software you need to use. It's called as a wallet. So to use Bitcoin, you need to download what is a wallet to send Bitcoins back and yeah. And to trust Bitcoin, you only need to trust yourself. Okay, so no banks, no government, no middleman involved. Just trusting yourself. Yeah. It uses a technology called as blockchain. Okay, which is used to make the entire thing decentralized. And nobody knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. It can be a man, woman, group of people, even Elon Musk. We don't know if it's Elon Musk. Or Mukesh Ambani, who knows? We don't know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, right? We think he looks like this. This is a Japanese guy whose name is also Satoshi Nakamoto, but he is not the Satoshi Nakamoto we're talking about. So, of course, there's a lot of memes in the internet about this guy, right? And he became famous. So this guy had nothing to do with Satoshi Nakamoto, the guy who made Bitcoin, but because his name was Satoshi Nakamoto, he became famous. So nobody knows who this Satoshi Nakamoto is, but we know that blockchain and Bitcoin was a gift. It is a gift of Satoshi's work to the entire world, right? It's a decentralized database, blockchain, right? Which means that it's a database which is split across millions and millions of people, which means to make one change is very, very hard. Yeah. It's like an Excel sheet that you share with everybody else, but you can only add rows to it. Yeah. You cannot modify any row, nor can you delete any row. So that's what blockchain is. It's like a big Excel sheet that you spread it across, maybe thousands and thousands of people, right? And the beautiful thing is that decentralized systems are harder to take down. So in the left side, right, you see the centralized system. So if I just knock this guy off, right, the entire system goes down. Okay, but if I knock this guy down, this is harder to take down. You see, because these people will still exist, these people will still exist, this will still exist. So decentralized systems like the one over here are harder to take down, right? And everything is irreversible. So once you make a change, you cannot go back, right? So blockchain plus ledger is what creates Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin is not blockchain, blockchain is not Bitcoin, but blockchain is something that is used to create Bitcoin. So Bitcoin superset, blockchain subset. Yeah. So that's what is Bitcoin and blockchain. Okay. So one thing cannot work with each other. If Bitcoin had no blockchain, it wouldn't be decentralized. If blockchain had no Bitcoin, there would be no point of blockchain, right? So these are two technologies that need each other to work. Yeah. So it is any person who has a 4 GB laptop can basically be a part of the Bitcoin network. And it is controlled by nearly 1 million computers today who are mining Bitcoin to keep the entire system alive. Yeah. So I'm just going to pause for a bit Okay, and go straight to a couple of things. There's quite a few. Yeah, so we'll start here. Keeping in mind the context of our conversations, right? We need to understand why is crypto and blockchain going to be disrupting our future, right? So one thing is that it is a new kind of money. It is something that is immutable, yeah, trustless, transparent, which means every transaction that is happening is visible to anybody else. So it's fully transparent system. Anything that happens, anybody can see. Yeah. So there's no form of money laundering. If someone gets hacked, you know the hacker or where he's sending the money to. So it's a fully transparent system in that sense, right? It's decentralized, if today somebody kills Satoshi Nakamoto, Bitcoin is not going to go down. Bitcoin is still going to be alive. So it is decentralized. Nobody can take it down, right? It's borderless. So if I wanted to say and send money to a friend in Pakistan, for example, because of India-Pakistan tensions, it's very hard for me to do that. If I wanted to send money to a person in USA or USA to India or any other country, right? It's going to cause a lot of issues. But Bitcoin does not care. I mean, with Bitcoin, you can send money to any person, whoever you want, no questions asked. Yeah, and nobody can censor it. You cannot be banned from using Bitcoin. You cannot be Bitcoin cannot ban you. Nobody can stop you from sending money if you have the money with you. So it's censorship resistant in that sense, right? So in 2010, one Bitcoin was 3 cents. Okay, I think 3 cents is how much? I think let's just do some simple math. So 3 cents, 0.003 times 75 is literally 1/5 the paise. Yeah, so one Bitcoin in 2010 was 1/5 the paise. Yeah. In 2017, one Bitcoin was roughly, hold on, let's do some math, 13 lakhs. Yeah. So, so from 1/3 of, so 1/4 of say to 13 lakhs. So that's how crazy Bitcoin has grown, right? So today it is a little bit lesser. It's at 6 lakhs, right? But it is still 700% higher than last year. So this thing is different. This is not usual, to see this kind of money being created. And a lot of young people like you and me, right, have become, who have, understood Bitcoin, what it is, have obviously become rich. I mean, they've been buying Lamborghinis, they've been buying houses, doing all sorts of crazy things, right? Yeah, this guy bought an orange Lamborghini because orange is the Bitcoin color. So anyhow, it is the largest wealth transfer from the rich to the poor. Okay, so Bitcoin and crypto is the largest wealth transfer from the rich to the poor, and the only time we've seen this is exactly 2 or 3 centuries ago, when people discovered oil. Okay, so in 18th century, the people who discovered oil became rich. Yeah. In 21st century, it is the computer nerds and the people who discovered Bitcoin who have now become rich. Yeah, so it is the largest wealth transfer from the rich to the poor, right? So yeah, that's basically most of what I have to talk about with respect to Bitcoin, right? I'm just going to touch upon a few more things because I want to ask questions to people. So yes, let's start with this, right? Yeah. So the main thing that I think a takeaway should be is that there are 2 technologies that people need to be aware of. At least you guys, the students here, should be aware of. One is Bitcoin and the other is blockchain, right? And pay attention to blockchain, guys, because blockchain is the revolutionary technology that is very, very game-changing, right? So it has use cases that are going to be used by your children, right? And they will think that, this is something very used to us. They will not even know what is a bank. To them, to your kids, when you have kids, when you grow up and get married and have kids, right? Your children will think that, hey, what is a bank account? I've never heard of a bank account. What is a bank? Because to them, this will be mainstream. This will be, used as their bread and butter, right? And there's a lot of amazing things happening with blockchain, right? In India, Andhra Pradesh is the leader, right, in blockchain, and so they're using blockchain for land records, so that it can bring transparency on purchase and sale of land. You guys can, of course, research more about what is blockchain doing in different things. This is one example of Andhra Pradesh government using blockchain for land records, right? RBI is coming up with its own cryptocurrency, so we might see the Indian rupee, being able to be created into a cryptocurrency. There's going to be a lot of cool things that come to us if that happens, right? It is used for accounting, yeah. So you can replace clearing houses. You can have strong audit trails. It's great for auditing, right? So anybody who is going to work with any of the big auditing firms, the big fours, right? Blockchain would be a very good application, very good use case there, and there's tons and tons of different new things that are coming in blockchain. This is like a whole forest of different things that is coming in blockchain, right? I mean, I can't even see how many things are in here, but one thing to let you guys know is that almost 90% of all of these things that you're seeing here, right, has only come in the last 2 years. That is very fast. In terms of credit cards took 50 years to become mainstream, whereas blockchain and crypto is taking 10 years, and out of that, 90% of the companies have been formed in the last 2 years. Yeah, so it is growing fast. It is like crazy fast growing as a technology and as a product, right? So the thing is that Bitcoin is a lesson, right? Bitcoin and crypto, it teaches you one thing, that with the help of blockchain, you can create systems, right, where you don't need to trust anybody, right? And that changes everything, because we humans, right, we are used to trusting each other, but so for us to get into a place where we can do our work and don't have to trust anybody else, right, that is a huge change. For example, if you wanted to give a loan to a person, with the help of blockchain, you don't have to worry too much about the person defaulting on his loan, right? If you were to work in today, if you're having trust issues with the government, I'm sure there's a lot of debate with people having trust issues with, let's say, the Indian government, right? Blockchain can maybe be a system that maybe replaces an entire government, and there have been examples of this being done, right? So Bitcoin is a lesson. Bitcoin is showing you what you can do with money. But really what we should do is pay attention to blockchain, because you can create systems without trust, And I want to conclude this in a very positive note, right? Is that, my final message to you guys and all the young minds here, right, is that India needs to be at the forefront of innovation, right? We are the country with the youngest population, I think, worldwide, right? The largest youngest base of population is in India, right? We're of course the IT hub, and we do a lot of IT services. We have big names like TCS, Capgemini, and so many companies that do well in technology, right? But we need to be at the forefront of this, of blockchain and crypto, because India should not miss out, right? I think our country has a huge potential to explore this technology and really bring a lot of disruption to the entire world. Yeah. So my last message to you guys is take responsibility. Use this opportunity. Use whatever we have gone through. Of course, this meeting is recorded, so you can go through it anytime you want, right? I'll of course share you these slides in the group, right? use this moment and time to take responsibility and explore, understand, learn what blockchain is doing, what crypto is doing. And that small step that you take will drive you a long way forward, because we know 10, 20 years down the line that blockchain and crypto is going to be replacing banks, is going to be replacing money. It's going to change the way we live, right? So that's my final message to you guys. I hope that this presentation has been useful to you, right? There's very little that I can, of course, show you guys, but I want to stick to time, right? And I also want to get the opportunity to answer a few questions to you guys, and sort of hear from you guys what you have in mind, and answer some, and do a few questions, right? So with that being said, yeah, so these are my contact details. You can reach out to me, just email me or send me. This is CryptoController.io, sorry. Email me, drop me a message on Telegram, WhatsApp me, send me on Twitter, message on Twitter, and I'm more than happy to answer and give advice to any person who has any questions or queries. So with that being said, would love to give, I guess, the mic back to the team, and see how we can sort of answer some questions as such, right?
So thank you, sir. That was very informative and educational. So just like you said, this is the time to ask your queries. Please feel free to clear them, clear your doubts.
Yeah, so sure. I think we can have questions in the chat, right? Maybe. And yeah, so okay, so cool. So okay, the first question is by Jobin. Is Jobin here? Okay, so I'll answer that question. Is there any legit website to mine bitcoins, as most of the websites are scams? No. So websites don't mine bitcoins, and if you need to mine bitcoins, you need to use your own hardware, right? So my answer to that is there's not many, very few, but you have to. You're trusting a website now. The whole point of Bitcoin is to not trust anybody, right? So don't go to a website, because now you're trusting a website. So that is defeating the whole point of Bitcoin. Yeah. So yeah, don't use the website. You just set up your own mining rig or your phone, or just start mining that way. Jack Sparrow. How much would it cost, Captain Jack Sparrow? How much would it cost to set up a small mining farm at home? So I set up a mining rig. I think it costed me a very small, decent one, right? It costed me about 60,000 rupees. I think if you buy some of the things secondhand, maybe you can get it at 30,000 rupees or lesser. And I made 30,000 rupees of Bitcoin back in about 6 months of time, right? But this was about in 2017. I think situations have changed now. So if you put 30,000 rupees in 2017, you would have made 30,000 rupees back in 6 months, and anything beyond that would have been your profit. So 30 to 60,000 rupees is the average cost, I would say, for setting up a small mining farm at home. Depends on how big or small, but the minimum is 30 to 60,000 rupees. But that is if you want to do mining. If you want to get Bitcoins, you can buy a Bitcoin for 10 rupees. That's also very possible. Yeah. Any other question? Also, everybody's on mute. Is that on purpose, or?
If anybody has questions, they can unmute and ask. Okay.
Okay, fine. TK. Yeah. So if there's no more questions, then of course we can. You guys have my what decides Bitcoin's value? Okay, I'll answer that. Yeah. So I think if this we can say that we can take in about 3 or 4 more questions and then conclude, right? So what decides Bitcoin's value? That's interesting. Why do you Why do you decide that 100 rupees has 100 rupees of value, right? Let me see if I can bring a 100 rupee note somewhere. No, I don't have. Okay, hold on. Let me. I can share you my screen. Note. One sec, yeah. So if you look at a 100 rupee note, it will say that, yeah, okay, this is cool. So if you look at a 100 rupee note, right? The reason a 100 rupee note equals 100 rupees or something is because of this line. It is guaranteed by the central government. Okay. And it says, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of 100 rupees. Now, what does it, and this is the signature of Raghuram Rajan. That's so cool, you know. So basically, what does that mean, right? 100 rupees is 100 rupees because you're trusting the Reserve Bank of India. Now, how does Bitcoin get its value? Basically, it's traded. Okay, so there are people who trade Bitcoin, and there are people who have a selling price and a buying price, right? So when the selling and buying price come together, then that's how you know the Bitcoin's value, right? So there are people who are buying Bitcoins with Indian rupee and selling Bitcoins with Indian rupee. So if you look at any market, right? So there's a website called CoinDCX, right? Where you can trade the Indian rupee with the Bitcoin. And the people who want to buy and sell now, that's how it derives its value. Okay. So I'll show you the like this is a website where you can trade Bitcoin. Okay. Let us see if we can get the Bitcoin INR rate trade. So that's how Bitcoin derives its value. Like any commodity, like any asset in a stock market, right? You have buyers and sellers. Yeah, like this, right? So you have all these people who are selling and all these people who are buying. So this is an exchange where you can, see the price of Bitcoin across time, and then you have the buyers and sellers. When the buyers and sellers meet, that is the current price of Bitcoin with respect to that asset. Yeah. So that's how Bitcoin derives its value. That's how the Indian rupee derives its value, right? It derives its value because you're trading the Indian rupee with gold, dollar, so on and so forth. So that's how the Bitcoin's value is decided. And you can, if you get like one Bitcoin for 7 lakhs over here in CoinDCX, you can sell this Bitcoin for 8 lakhs in some other place, right? Every different place has their own, like Zepay is another site, where you can buy and sell Bitcoins, right? So every site has its own rate. You can, get different values from different exchanges, right? Just like in India, for example, a share of Reliance is different from in NSE, National Stock Exchange of India, National Stock Exchange, and the BSE, the Bombay Stock Exchange. So there are different exchanges, different markets that decide the value of Bitcoin. Okay. So Jack, I'll answer your question after. Jack Sparrow's question is next. I'll answer that after I get a chance with everybody else. Sorry, I joined late. Not sure if this is taken already. How is mining beneficial? So it's beneficial because when you're mining a crypto, you are also earning some crypto as a reward, and you are contributing towards the entire system. So by becoming a miner, you are also making Bitcoin or your crypto more decentralized, because you become a photocopy of you start having a photocopy of all the Bitcoin transactions that are out there. So mining helps in two things. One is you're helping the system, you're helping the network become more decentralized. And the other is you also earn some Bitcoins for mining. So mining has, obviously a lot of people mine Bitcoin because they want to earn Bitcoins, right? And so that's why mining is beneficial. Even though it's too effective, is there any disadvantages? Yes. So Bitcoin is very slow. So for me to send 1 Bitcoin today to you, it takes 30 minutes to transact. So whereas if I were to send you a Paytm, it's like that, it's very instant. Yeah. So today's the Bitcoin system is very, very slow. It takes like, 30 minutes to send, $10 or 10 rupees of Bitcoin, so it is too slow today. But if that problem goes away, right, then we are seeing total disruption of Indian rupee, total disruption of banks, so on and so forth. Yeah. What are the advantages or disadvantages using Bitcoin? One is Bitcoin does not care if you are black, white, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, atheist. Bitcoin does not care if you, are Russian, Indian, African, Asian. Bitcoin only cares if you have enough Bitcoin to spend. So if I have 10 Bitcoins, I can only send not more than 10 Bitcoins. If I send 11 Bitcoins, kalas, I cannot transact. Yeah. The disadvantage of Bitcoin is that I think a lot of people who are very careless, right, with Bitcoins, and they lose their Bitcoins to some hacker, right, they cannot get it back, because the hacker has it, and that's the point. It's a security feature of Bitcoin that you should not reverse the money once you've sent it. So sometimes people are careless with their money, with their Bitcoins, and they lose it. And also Bitcoin is slow. So today Bitcoin should be a little bit more faster. Will this be a feature of safe smuggling? So I think you mean smuggling, right? So Inshad03 says that. Okay. So today Bitcoin, it is actually used by law enforcement agencies to track down criminals, because Bitcoin can be, Bitcoin traces. You can have a trace of where the money is going, because Bitcoin makes everything transparent. So actually, if you're a hacker, right, or you're a criminal and you use Bitcoin, you are literally shooting yourself in the foot, because now anybody can see where you're spending your money, right? So it's a double-edged sword. So yeah, everything is transparent, but today, yes, people are. There is online smuggling, but if you really look at it now, do you think ISIS is using Bitcoin? So ISIS is not using Bitcoin. ISIS is using US dollar and oil. Yeah. So they have a bigger problem, not Bitcoin. We have US dollar and oil, which is used to fund terrorism and smuggling. So Bitcoin. If you were to say Bitcoin is used for smuggling, there's a bigger problem at hand. Yeah. So where can we get Bitcoin? Hari Krishnan says that. So you can get Bitcoin by mining. Of course, you can either get Bitcoin locally in cash through sites like Local Bitcoins. So this is like the Local Bitcoins that issue. This is where I got my first few Bitcoins, right? So these are peer-to-peer. These are people like you and me who have Bitcoins, and they will take in IMPS or Paytm, and they have their own rates over here. Yeah. So you can, IMPS, and that's all these things, Google Pay, cash deposit, whatever, UPI, yeah, Paytm, yeah. There are a lot of people who will let you buy Bitcoin from them. And of course, you have exchanges like ZepPay, where you can, very securely also have your Bitcoins bought, yeah. So that is how you buy and sell Bitcoins, right? Sir, can you name out some specific software used for mining Bitcoin? Okay, so basically, there's a very popular software. This is the only software really called Bitcoin D. So it's a full node, okay, which is used to mine Bitcoins. Really, what you should not look at mining software, you should look at mining pools. Okay? Mining pools are what you need to look at if you want to basically mine Bitcoins, right? So just read about it, see what it is. Slush pool is great. It is one of the biggest and largest pools, okay? Really what you should be also looking at is the hardware. So a lot of people use ASUS RX 570, 580, 8 variant to mine BTC. And they also use Antminer, the Antminer for mining Bitcoin. Antminer by Bitmain, yeah, is, oh wow, this is a bargain, 3,000 rupees. So basically, these are specific hardware used to mine Bitcoin. right? So if you want to mine Bitcoin, then I would say go for something like this. But if you want to mine other coins, then maybe get an ASUS AMD RX, RX 580 8GB. This is a very good one. Yeah. Okay, so can we get cheap mining hardware? That depends. Depends on where you search. Best site to withdraw Uno. So there's UnoCoin. Zeppay is good. I would just say stick with Zeppay, right? Feedback. Thanks. I ask you, what if someone creates a better digital currency? So the reason why digital currencies are being popular today is because many people. The reason why Bitcoin is popular today is because millions and millions of people use it, right? So if you create a better currency, there are already better currencies, okay? But you need a currency that has so many people using it. That so basically, I'll show you how many currencies are there. So you find market cap, right? Yeah. You will see all the currencies, cryptocurrencies that are there. Okay. In totality, there are about 9,000 different cryptocurrencies. Okay. If you look at Bitcoin, Bitcoin's size is about $176 billion. Okay. And everybody else now, so 176 is, so the second guy is $31 billion, right? 176 divided by 31 is 5 times. So Bitcoin is 5 times bigger than the second best guy, 5 times bigger than the second best guy, right? Second best cryptocurrency. So if you want to create a better currency, it needs to be really, really big and has to be used by a lot of people, a lot more than what Bitcoin is being used for. Okay, so that's how you can topple and overthrow Bitcoin. What are the other current cryptocurrencies that are worth in the future? Basically, it really depends. I mean, the top 10, 20 are very good ones, right? But there are every day there's a new cryptocurrency coming out, right? So you need to look at the technology. You need to see how disruptive it is, and whether there's a chance that this thing can become used in the future. So if you are willing to back something that is going to be used in the future, just like how people who saw Bitcoin when it was like 1 paise, right, bought Bitcoins and are now millionaires, that's where the opportunity is. So look at all these currencies, study them. I mean, go through them. You have, like, for example, let's take Monero as an example, right? You have all the links in this site to explore, understand what is Monero, how it works. Yeah, is it going to be the future, right? So you have all that data ready for you. CoinMarketCap, just go there, you'll get all that stuff. Yeah. So there's so many cryptocurrencies, like it's an endless list. Yeah. And I think this is we can have this as the last question, right? Any algorithm to analyze? So this is a very technical question, so I will try to keep it short. So look at proof of stake. Proof of stake. Look at Near protocol, Near.org. Proof of stake is the next version of blockchain where it is going to go, and hopefully we see proof of stake become mainstream. And Near protocol is a very interesting platform. It is becoming very, very popular. So have a look at Near protocol, proof of stake, of course, Ethereum, Ethereum.org, right? So these are a few sites that if you can have a look at just to get a better understanding of things, right? Okay, so I think that should be the last question. Now, before we conclude, we are just scratching the surface, guys, right? I'm hoping that you have found this session valuable, right? And that more importantly, right, is to not miss out. Yeah, don't miss out on a technology that can be used by your kids and can become mainstream in the future. There are very few opportunities where you get to see. This is like a once in a lifetime sort of opportunity to explore blockchain, crypto, Bitcoin, right? And any disruptive technology, right, is going to face backlash. Okay, internet, when it was first brought into the picture, faced a lot of backlash, saying that, hey, internet is going to be used for drugs. Internet is going to be used for pornography, for smuggling, for viruses. But today we know the internet is used for a lot more beautiful things than just that, right? In fact, that is like less than 1% of what the internet is used for. Yeah. So in conclusion, Please explore the technology, understand what it is. I'm sharing my contact details on the Google Meet, right? So you guys can send me a phone number. I will give you some BTC. I'll give you like 100 rupees of BTC. Just drop me a message on WhatsApp. Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow. Yeah. So I'll give you 100 rupees of BTC. You can see how that works. Jobin, also, if you want BTC, just message me. So just 5 people, the top 5 people who message me, I'll just give them 100 rupees. I hope not everybody's going to message me. So just BTC. So with that, I conclude the call. Thank you so much for joining, and give it back to the host to take it forward. Yeah.
So thank you, sir. And for expressing our gratitude on our behalf, I would like to call Mary Jitu. And meanwhile, the rest of you can fill up the feedback form shared in the chat box.
Good afternoon, all. First of all, I would like to thank our resource person of the day, Mr. Stephen Anamical, for making this webinar session very interesting and meaningful. I would like to thank Jyoti Management, Principal, and our HOD and staff members for all the moral support and guidance. I may like to express our sincere thanks to the convener of the program, Dr. Jose P. Theratel, for his amazing support. We are also grateful to the coordinators of the webinar session, Ms. Sindhu S. and Ms. Nidhu Rose Thomas, for making this a grand success. I take this opportunity to acknowledge and thank the IET coordinator, Dr. Prajun P. and ECSA coordinator, Mr. M. Ponmani Raja, for organizing this webinar session. I would also like to thank the student coordinator, Mr. Shibin Krishna C., for his great support in various aspects. Finally, I thank all the wonderful participants who have turned up for the session from various places. Thank you so much for your cooperation, and once again, thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for having us and giving such a wonderful talk for us. Sir, you are on mute.
Thank you so much for organizing, and I hope to interact with most of you guys soon. Yeah.
Sir, it has been very wonderful talk actually. I think the students are very much interested in this topic now.
Yeah.
So there will be conversation anyway for the Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah. So great. Thank you. I'll drop off. If you can share me the recording, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I will surely just share with you the recording.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.